I'm back. Welcome back to the Fox Rage YouTube channel. I'm back. The bad weather is back as well, like it always is in England in the winter. So we're going to give it a go. We're down on the Hampshire Avon. We're down on the royalty stretch of the Hampshire Avon, and we're going to try and catch a pike. We knew the weather was going to be horrendous. I think there's a weather warning out today as well, but that doesn't matter because we're going to try and catch a pike out of this Weirpool on ledger tactics today, and I'm going to get soaked through just for you. Now, this river is one of my favourite rivers in the country, and I love float fishing it. Roving float fishing is fantastic. It's that visual, watching your float go, fishing in the slacks, trotting it down on the inside line. Really good fun, and I love it. However, we had to adapt and overcome, because when we got here this morning, you can't probably tell on the camera, I don't know if you can or not, but it's absolutely racing. So I couldn't float fish it. The clarity is not great. So what do? You don't give up, you just adapt and overcome, like I said. So it's then straight out with the dead bait rods, and therefore I can put a big lead on, I can anchor that bait down, and I can try and find some creases in the water, try and find some bits of reed beds really close in where there might be a pike let up. It's got to beat sitting at home, surely. Let's talk about hardware. My ever faithful, I've had for years, because there's no point in changing. They're not broke, they're perfect, and I've spoken about them many times. They are the Elite boat rods, and they're the Predator ones in their 10-foot 3-pound test curve. They've got a lovely through action on them. They're ideal because they're only 10 foot for close in work, for creeping in and out of the trees. They're absolutely ideal for it. You don't want great big long 12, 13-foot rods when you're doing this style of fishing on the rivers and you're roving around. 60 pound there, the Predator braid there, 60 pound. Nice thick, good braid, not a casting braid, a good thick, heavy float fishing braid. With our EOS Pro 10,000 reel. With a bait runner. Bait runner is essential because a lot of the time I'm not using alarms, and the bait runner on that is so gentle that they don't feel any resistance when you get a take. And that's it. That is a bulletproof setup, which is more than capable of handling pike well over 20 pounds, and is still enjoyable when you get a few jacks. Float rigs are simple. Guess what? So are ledger rigs as well. So trace, standard. That bait's just been reeled in, so I'll put a fresh one on. 2 hooks there. I always have different size traces with different gaps and different lengths in between, depending on if I'm using really big baits or small baits. Got your trace wire, goes to another quick link here. A buffer bead. I have this fluoro here as well to try and add a little bit of camo to it as well. And then on the run ring, the only difference from a normal run ring is I've got a PVA nugget in there. Now you might think PVA, what's going on there? But what it is if there's any snags, logs or boulders and that was to get stuck behind it, that lead will just pull straight off. I can reel in, I can cast and everything like that, but it just adds a little bit of safety so that I don't get tethered with a fish when I'm playing a fish. Only ever come off if you had a snag. It doesn't really come off when you're playing fish, it's just if you get snagged. And that's it. Nice and simple. I've come indoors for this bit because it is cats and dogs out there, raining, and I'm about to show you something with PVA, and as you can imagine, that doesn't like the water, but it kind of does. So what it is it's the drop-off system for the leads. It's not what you think with regards to carp fishing, dropping the leads, everyone's destroying the environment and everything like that. It's nothing like that. It's a PVA strip which goes inside the lead. When you first put it out, you can cast full pelt with it, no problem at all. There's no chance of that lead, even big leads, it's not breaking through that PVA strip. Once it's been out there, depending on the time of year and water temperatures, anywhere from half an hour to a few hours, it does soften up. But it does not come off when you reel in. And it won't come off when you have a fish, but it will come off when you snag. You've got to remember that, because it's not a case of just dropping leads left, right and centre. It's about fish welfare, safety, if a fish becomes snagged. Otherwise, you're not dropping the lead. So it's fish welfare, okay? It's very straightforward, and it's like this. So here we've got fluorocarbon. It's not an up trace, it's just above the trace, and it helps with regards to hiding your braided main line. Also fish welfare, to stop the braid from cutting into the fish, and it's also to stop you getting cut off with any underwater objects, as braid is very, very fragile. Then we've got a buffer bead, we've got a run ring, special run ring with the stainless steel insert, the buffer bead, and a quick link. Quick link's super easy, you can just twist it around your traces off. There's the run ring that we're really looking at. You can see there's a hole in the middle there, so if I wanted, I can get my lead, big old leads today because it's absolutely ferocious out there, push it in there. It will go straight in. There's a little peg which comes with all of these run rings, and you can push that in there. That means your lead would never ever ever drop, okay? And that's absolutely fine, and it works like a normal run ring. However, if I'm fishing places like this, because it's a Weirpool and we don't really know what's under the water, trees and boulders and things like that, I was playing a fish and this lead got stuck behind a snag. That was it. It could tether up, it could be a nightmare, and if it went for a break, then you could potentially have a pike which has got a trace in its mouth. So it's solely for fish welfare. So what we do is, when it's in there, we push the PVA strip into here, run it all the way along, okay, put it in there. We get a pair of scissors and we just snip it there like that, and that is it. Now that is it. That, I couldn't pull that out and break that if I wanted. It's solid. You can cast absolutely fine. After half an hour to a couple of hours, depending on water temperature, it will stay really solid. They never fall off when you reel in. They would only come off if that fish got snagged. I play many fish and this lead stays on for the whole fight. It's purely for fish welfare. No sales gimmick. It's not you have to buy these. It's purely for fish welfare. We have our trace setup. The lead can dump if we accidentally get snagged up with a fish on. Now we just pop the bait on. So, bait wise, smell, it's good, it's visual, hint of cucumber. Get one right down there in the root of the tail, and I want to see the hook come out the other side. That's what keeps it really firm. That's what takes the punch of the cast, okay? And then we can put another one into the side there, and then we have that nice, and it's there, good to go. You've seen me rig up, hook the hook bait, have the lead. Now it's time to cast out. What I've done is I'm just slowly leapfrogging the rods, moving them around and trying different places, because it's unlikely the pike, when there's that much ferocious current out there, they're probably not going to be moving around much. So what I'm trying to do is seeing if I can land a bait close enough to a pike which is willing to move maybe a metre or two. So rather than waiting for them to come to me, I'm trying to go to them. So with the Weirpool absolutely raging like it is with all this water coming up, you would think that float fishing could be nearly impossible, because obviously, you know, with your big thick heavy braid and the resistance, it can just drag your float away, and that is correct. However, there's still a very good opportunity to use a float. And what happens is, you know, it's still mild. Those pike, they can come in and they can lie underneath here. Just because it seems really shallow to us, it's still fully oxygenated. they've got safety above them because they've got all the reeds above them, and quite often the silver and bait fish will go in there as well. So if there's an opportunistic little snack for them, they'll take it. So got a beautiful little sardine there, really, really oily. And I just lower that one down there, really close in, really, 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 really close. And hopefully, fingers crossed, give it half an hour or so. Once that scent starts slowly moving around the edge of the Weirpool, if there's anything else led up near or around it, it should track along, pick up my bait. Little bit of luck, we'll have a pike. So setting up the float is crucial. I just have the bait runner on, and I just gently, without moving that bullet weight, which is on the bottom, just gently pull it back up to the tip. So as soon as that goes under, that stands straight up and it sails away, and it stops any potentially deep hook pike because you can't see what's going on, and it just keeps you really in contact. Perfect way of doing it. So Weirpools can seem a little bit daunting. However, they can be fabulous places to fish. There's loads of oxygenated water. There's loads of disturbed water, which is where that oxygenation comes from as it comes through the weir. And then those predators, they can actually use that disturbance to be able to hunt their prey, because the prey fish would also be in there as well. Looking at places to fish in the Weirpool, if it wasn't raging today, if it wasn't raging today, there'd be lots of places here to be able to fish, okay? So you'd be looking off the main flow. You'll nearly always get a lovely back eddy. And by what I mean by a back eddy is the water would come and it would just slowly turn. There's hardly any flow there at all, and it's just a massive food larder where the silverfish would feed, and the pike can sit there and use no energy at all. Mr. or Mrs. Pike, they're not stupid. They've evolved to protect themselves and use as little energy as they possibly can. And to do that, they try and camouflage themselves. They've already done that. They're in camo. And then they try and sit where they can get an easy, opportunistic meal. Yes, they will go hunting as well at certain times when they go out actively looking. But they will, when they're resting, maybe digesting a meal, or maybe just resting in somewhere they feel safe, that's when they always put themselves somewhere where if needs be, something goes past, bam, they're going to get it because they have to. It'd be silly for them just to face the bank and be like, oh, I can't see nothing, I'm digesting a meal. They can't protect themselves, they can't do anything. So when you're looking for these places, you're looking for reed beds, so it gives them cover from above. You're looking for overhanging trees so that they can get in there, so they can't get, the otters come in and things like that, then they can get right in there. And also what you can't see is below the water, there'll be, especially where you have a weir coming through, it would have channeled out gullies, and there'll be different types of mineral on the base of the Weirpool there. And what you'll get natural hollows and dips, and those pike will just come back and they'll be able to sit in those hollows and dips, and then as and when they need to, they can just bam, straight out and they can grab a meal. It's very hard in these conditions to be able to fish the features I'd like to fish, even using a lead setup and a heavy setup. There's an awful lot of debris you can't see out there. You can probably see the bend in my rod. That shows you there's lots and lots of reeds being pushed around everywhere, and they're stringing like a washing line down my line, and then that's just dragging. So it's really hard to fish effectively and present a bait effectively. So these, my rods are out, but really it's when I fish a rod really close in and I have it really tight into the margins, that's the one I'm hoping is going to go out of my dead bait rod or my float rod. But I need to try and put one out there, because you never ever know. I know there's some deep holes out here, and if I put them out there, as long as my bait is actually coming back clean, I'm fishing, but it's not ideal, but there's always a chance. And that's the thing, if you have got a chance, it's a bit of a gamble rod, whereas my float rod in really, really close, that's the one which is my banker, hopefully. When you do have the water ripping in, there's loads of heavy rain over the few days before you go fishing, or sometimes on rivers which rise quickly, it can even happen on the same day, is not a write-off for pike fishing. There is the old adage that a rising river will never deliver. But if you never fish a rising river, how do you know that? How do you know there's not that one big pike or a pike, you know, should be happy with any pike, which isn't willing to feed if you get a bait straight past it? And there's also something which is in your favour, and that is when it's absolutely hammering through, they're not going to be out there. Those pike are just going to, okay, they might be behind a boulder or in a gully that I can't see, possibly, but the majority, and the bait fish especially, they're going to come into the slacks. And when I mean coming to the slacks, when you were to follow this river down, you'll see bends and you'll see more back eddies. You might see fallen trees. When you get those bends, you'll have the inside line. You could have great big stanchions off behind a bridge. So you get behind the bridge and they tuck in behind there. So in fact, rather when it's, you know, what you'd call perfect conditions and there's hardly any flow and it's coming through, they could be anywhere, those pike, because they don't have to use a lot of energy to be anywhere. Whereas if they were to try and stay out in the main flow when you've got flood conditions, it's hard work. Why are they going to waste all that energy? They don't need to feed. They know there's going to be good conditions coming sooner or later. They can feed then. Whereas if you go and basically plonk that bait into their living room, which is where that bit of slack is, that's it. You're much, much more likely to pick up a fish by doing that. And these flood conditions can sometimes actually flip it in your favour. But I would personally fish the flood conditions by roving the river rather than concentrating on one Weirpool where it's absolutely ripping in. But there's always a chance, which is why we've got the rods out, because you just never know. We're still in the lodge. But what a lodge it is. I mean, there's not many places in the country. Okay, you've got the carp syndicates and things, but next to the beautiful Hampshire Avon, huge Weirpool outside of here, and you've got this beautiful lodge. It's got electric. As you can see, we have a light, but it's got a kettle as well. It's got some pictures of the salmon and the barbel and everything. It's, yes, luxury, absolute luxury. But anyway, what have I got here? I've got our new quiver, which is something that I helped design. And I used the previous one for years and years and years and years. And this is an updated, modified version. So what have we got? We got big pocket here, which is more than capable of taking the extra long bank sticks in there with the alarms on as well, and the toggle to do it up. Little side pocket, you can put your leads in there. It's only a little shallow side pocket, and you've got a bigger one at the bottom there, and that'd be great to put your swingers etc in as well. Really padded strap, because if you're not on a barrow, you don't want it digging into you on a long walk. You've got our brolly here, goes in the middle, and there's loads of room to get it in there, so it's not super tight when you get it in there. It's not one of those things where it's just like, I can't get the brolly in. It's like super easy to get it in. And then around here, you've got the rods in there, loads of Velcro, so it holds them really nice and tight. Down to the bottom, and you can get 3 rods in there, absolutely perfect. Onto the shoulder, and off you go. Perfect. And while we're looking at hardware, there's another bit of gear which obviously I'm always going to take, and that is our new cradle. So it's similar to the old style cradle, but it's much lighter, and some people struggled a little bit with the old cradle, whereas this one, absolute breeze to put up. So that is another piece of hardware which I would always take when I'm static fishing. When I'm mobile, then I take our folding mat when I go roving. Proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding. Sneak in, lower it down. Whoa. Sit back and wait. Definitely better than sitting at home, eh? There we go. Lovely. Hampshire Avon pike, caught in horrendous conditions in the rain. He's not doing much, but it's in the net. Lovely. Woken up now, it's in the net, perfect. So we'll unhook this one, get it on the mat, and we'll have a look at it. It's pretty revived. I'm going to get rid of the net first of all, once I can get my hand underneath there. So always got to remove the net, because the net makes it all very, very painful and things can get caught in it. We just gently move that bit of wire around the mouth there. Right, so I need to take control of this pike. He's very, very lively and I need to be in charge of it. So first of all, what I'm going to do, hey, I'm in control. Slide my hand up there. Let's have a look. Yeah. First thing I'm going to do, I always got cutters ready just in case. So first thing I'm going to do is remove the top hook, because I need to make sure I then can get to the bottom hook. And with these pliers, you should just gently, sometimes you've got to, hey, sometimes with the pliers you just got to pull out one prong, go back in again, reposition and pull out the next prong. There we go, and out it comes. Always move them away, because I've seen some horrendous things. We got a lovely, in the pouring rain, Hampshire Avon pike. Beautiful. Always keep it over the mat. Very, very welcome on a very tough day. It just goes to show, when you don't think you can catch because it's ripping through in the Weirpool, putting a float in the right place, right in the shallows in the margin, can just catch you those bonus fish. Well, as you can see, it's pitch black. We've given it right to our last knockings. As predicted, it was going to be really, really tough. But we wanted to show you that even in really tough conditions, you can still get out there, you can still read the water, and you can still catch fish. It's got to be better than sitting at home. So you don't have to just sit at home and think, oh, it's horrendous conditions. Yes, it is. It's a rising river, hammering down with rain. But we got out here, we committed just to this one area, and we got a result. We got a pike. Happy days. We have a little twist, and that is tomorrow we are on the main river tomorrow. So we've committed ourselves here today, and then we've just shown what we can do with regards to a rising river, no slack water or anything like that at all. But tomorrow we are on the main river, and we're going to give that a go, and we're going to go exploring, something I've not done on there for over 10 years. So I'm going to take you on that journey. So thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed seeing us drown like rats for you, but hopefully you picked up a few details which you'll be able to incorporate into your angling next time you're out on the bank. So don't forget, like and subscribe, follow us on all of our different social media pages, and you can find us again on YouTube very, very soon.